Hello, hello, hello. Check, check, check. I feel like this mic is the worst. This is just the worst mic ever. It's like either too quiet or peaking. Never in the middle. Maybe I turn it down and talk close. That might be the best. And if I talk quiet. Let me just finish a few pistachios here. Just a few. Don't want to choke on a pistachio. It deserves my full attention. So, I saw my two most anticipated movies of the year in the past 24 hours. I saw ANORA late last night, right before bed. I started it at midnight. Wait, yeah, almost like 11:30. You have to buy it because it's not even for rent yet. And I was thinking like, oh, should I? And I kind of like wasn't feeling it because I had seen a stupid spoiler like headline on YouTube and didn't even click on it. And this is all sort of spoilers, but not really. So whatever. But the fake spoiler I saw, so it's sort of a spoiler. I'm gonna tell you what doesn't happen. But Geek Hazu, what's up, man? Plug your ears if you're worried about Honora. But I'm not gonna spoil it too much. But just even I have to talk about a little bit about it because I saw on YouTube because I'd watched some interviews with the director and with Maddie. I was like Mads Mikkelsen. No, Maddie Michelson, Mikey Madison, Mikey Madison, and Mads Mikkelsen. Um, and they're awesome in interviews. That's my number one movie I was looking forward to. And so YouTube started recommending me stuff, and it recommended me this video that says like Honora's death scene. And I was like, no, you're telling me she dies? Like, what a terrible spoiler. That ruins the movie. And then I was like, I don't even know if I want to watch it if she dies. Like, I don't. And everyone, everything everyone says about it, they go, such a haunting ending. Oh my god, that ending, it's so haunting. And I'm like, oh god, she like dies in the end, doesn't she? And so I almost didn't watch it, and I'm so glad I did watch it. And I had an interesting viewing experience because I was just kept waiting for her to die, and then she never did. It ends like with her still alive, which is great. That movie was really good. Um, and yeah, maybe we'll talk about it more. And then I saw what's up. It says four people watching. Say hi from the chat. Geekazu, what's up? Merry Christmas, everyone. By the way. And then I saw Nosferatu tonight, and Nosferatu. Yeah, I don't know. So I've seen a. Seems like almost everyone is saying they love it, and that almost was making me think that it might be like bots, because I'm like I'm waiting for. I need to look at the more reviews or whatever, see what the Rotten Tomatoes is, because I'm like it feels like it would be. There's definitely got to be some people who don't like this movie. I would say I leaned towards not liking it, although I do. I'll always watch a Nosferatu movie, kind of no matter what. Um, I have I don't know, I have some like, it was things that it didn't do that I wish it would have done, which isn't always fair. Like, that it didn't do anything. Like, if I would have made a Nosferatu movie, it didn't do anything that I would have done. And it's quite a bit different than my graphic novel. But that's kind of good in a way. You can get them both and kind of compare and contrast or whatever. But the movie, Edwin, what's up, man? Vim Ray, what's up? Let me get a sip of water here real fast. So I think there might be a lot of people that do like it, but I don't know. I want to see what people think, because I'll tell you one thing I didn't like too is Lily Rose Depp. I guess that's another one. I feel like a lot of people are saying she's great in it. That's one of the main things he changed, is he kind of made her. She's basically demon possession. It's like there's a little. It doesn't commit. A lot of these things feel undercooked. That's part of the problem. But he put in a little bit of like the Exorcist plot into Nosferatu, where Lily Rose Depp is possessed, and that's kind of part of the problem of what she's dealing with. And then like there's some interesting thematics because it's like it's from that era where they accused women of being hypersensitive or melancholic, or all the words they would say. Popping Rico, what's up, man? So, and I heard Eggers say that in an interview that he was proud of that addition. So that's like, you know, he was too close to it. I wonder if he would have made his earlier version, if it would have been better. But yeah, so this version, there's no German expressionism. There's no, basically no, shoot, we were just talking about it the other night. What's it called? Like ancient horror. There's no cosmic horror. She says the word once, not cosmic, but celestial. She says celestial once. And in my book, I say celestial a couple times. So like I'm like, that's a good word that goes with Nosferatu because the sun kills him and he kind of likes the moon. He's a celestial being. And they do say that in the beginning. It's a little added scene. Um, yeah, 7 people watching. What's up? But yeah, no, like as far as the German expressionism, like some of it's part of it is like it wasn't fun. So this is again borderline unfair, but it wasn't fun. I feel like Nosferatu can be fun. Like it can be funny. A lot of it is kind of goofy, like with overacting or whatever. Like and they're just hints. Again, it's undercooked. There's hints uh with shoot, what's his name? Willem Dafoe. He overacts slightly. He's one guy who's always good when he's on screen. The other thing, there was a accidental kind of like, you know how movies, they talk about this with a little bit with Starship Troopers and a little bit with the Watchmen, how in Watchmen people love Rorschach. But in this one, it's the guy who plays Craven, which is also in theaters now. I forget that guy's name, but you guys know who I'm talking about. He's like the kid who played in Spy Kids or whatever. Then he was Kick-Ass. He's friends with Mark Miller, I'm pretty sure. And then he's in this and Craven. And in this, he's kind of the best character. But he's the character who's like poo-pooing everything. Joe Ball, what's up, man? He's the one who is like more into science. He's like, this is all bullshit. It's just a plague. It's killing everyone. You guys are like trying to kill a vampire. Like, screw you guys. Get out of my house. But then his whole family gets murdered, and then he gets the plague and like maybe has like necrophilia, feeling up his dead wife, and then dies with her. Something like that is like weird. And I didn't like that either. Like it felt edgy for no reason. There are things they plug in. I'm like, why did they put that in? Uh, but we're a little bit in spoilers. But this is Nosferatu. You guys all know the story. You know, that's one thing I'll say for it. That's in the positive is that it really is the Nosferatu story. It almost doesn't change anything. But like, they're just little things. Like, I feel like the best shot in the original film is on the voyage of the Demeter when Nosferatu's killing all the people on the ship. And that's kind of one of the best parts of the whole movie. This movie skims over that super fast. And but the best shot from the silent film is when the captain is tying himself to the mast and he looks up and he sees against the white of the sails in the night Nosferatu, like that. And I drew that frame for frame from reference in the comic from the silent film. And yeah, that shot's like not in this movie. One funny thing is they in this Nosferatu has a mustache, and that is from the original Dracula novel. In the original Dracula novel, Dracula has a mustache. So he almost made him like he's weird. He has like hair and a mustache, but he still has like pale skin. He has big long fingernails, but he's kind of monstrous, but it's weird. He's like less monstrous in some ways. And they were kind of, there's been this move towards a subtext of sex for the movie. Like, I don't know, it's there in the silent film, and then it's like a lot stronger in the Werner Herzog one. It's even stronger in the comic that I did, and then in this one, it's like it's not subtext anymore. They made it real. They made it like about sex, and like Nosferatu is her lover, blah blah blah, and that is lame, I think. And yeah, but there's a scene. There's one like so Lily Rose Depp. She, it's not her fault. Does a pretty good performance, but yeah, like I don't like her character. She is just annoying and crazy the whole time. But there's one time where she like yells at her husband for like maybe cheating on her, and this is like another thing where I don't know if it's quite been done yet. And again, it's undercooked in this movie, unfortunately. But and you have to combine multiple movies to like make this narrative. But if Harker goes to Dracula's castle and then he cheats on his wife with the three harpies, basically, but it's kind of against his will, but kind of cheating. And then meanwhile, if she is also tempted by Dracula, there's kind of this mirroring where they're both tempted and they can either both their marriage is kind of tested, they can both give in and that can be okay, depending on what you want to do, or they can both give in and that's bad, or one could give in and one doesn't. There's all sorts of things you could do. Um, and yeah, it just hinted at just barely. And that's something I would kind of want to do if I ever do a Nosferatu. Maybe explore that direction. Or it's almost more like Eyes Wide Shut, like the plot of Eyes Wide Shut is kind of about the mirroring of cheating on each other in a marriage and how you can do like what a more complex version of that story. There's a lot of movies like that from the 80s where it's kind of funny. It's like if you try to take it as like a lesson, the lesson is cheating isn't actually that bad compared to other things. So if you can make it work with a little cheating, then definitely do. That's like the message for like all of Hollywood up until like the 90s or whatever. And I guess not. I don't know. Is that not necessarily a bad message? I don't know. Maybe better in theory than in practice, as they say. That's a Napoleon quote, by the way. Napoleon coined better in theory than in practice. He really did. He also coined a picture is worth 1,000 words. Not even joking. It was when he was in exile. He came up with a bunch of quotes. But yeah, so there's a scene where Lily Rose Depp yells at her husband because supposedly Nosferatu said he made him sign papers to terminate his marriage because Nosferatu needed to have like marital biting sex with her at the end or whatever. That is all like it's all undercooked because that doesn't necessarily make sense what he was trying to do. I don't get it. It's sort of like these elements that are kind of in Dracula from Francis Ford Coppola. It makes me want to watch Francis Ford Coppola because I haven't seen that ever all the way through because I can't stand Keanu Reeves' accent in it, even though I love Keanu Reeves, but I just haven't gotten a chance. Promote your book during these weeks. You might get pretty good traffic. I know. I've been shouting it out a little bit. Actually, I think tomorrow I'll send out to my mailing list and let everyone know about the Millar gig got publicly announced. So there's like this kind of wave of excitement. And then Nosferatu movies coming out. I got this old Nosferatu book. But so I got to tell you this Lily Rose Depp scene. So she yells at him like, it's kind of like you cheated on me with the harpies scene, but the harpies aren't even in this movie. So she's kind of just yelling at him for no reason, out of nowhere too. And then he's just like, "What? I'm trying to save you." And then she's like, "No, Daddy, don't go." And she crawls up to him, and her face is right in his crotch, kind of, and she goes, you could never please me like he pleased me." And I'm like, "What is going on?" So that scene, like, if you take it completely out of context, it actually would be a good scene. But in context, there's too much undercooked stuff that doesn't quite make sense. Because it's not really even clear if at that point she's possessed or not. I think by the logic they had been setting up, at that point she's supposed to not be possessed anymore. She's supposed to be kind of clear-headed. But apparently, yeah, she's having this moment of possession becomes totally weird and like kind of a weird manipulative sex bitch or whatever. And then she goads her husband into banging her right there. And he starts banging her. And then she starts screaming like, "Yes, let him see us. Let him see what we have, what's so special." But she's not saying it in a loving way like we're going to beat him with our love. She's totally demon possessed is what it looks like. So like may it would be like it's like a double layer deep thing. If you could explain it, if it was like more clear, maybe that would be cool. But it reverses on itself. So she's possessed by a demon, supposedly fighting the demon with logic of trying to have sex with her husband. But she's having terrible weird sex that's freaking her husband out. He doesn't like it at all. So it's totally demon possession. Which why is that even in this movie? I don't even know. Like it used to just be sleepwalking. Wah. Sleepwalking is so cool, so much cooler than demon possession. Um, and yeah, other movies have used sleepwalking too. Sleepwalking's awesome. Gikazu popping Rico. Yeah. So that scene like borderline ruined the movie because it's kind of out of nowhere, and it's like he added it, so it's like scene that's supposed to be in the movie. Then this weird scene of her getting possessed by a demon when she's not supposed to be, seducing her husband to try and make the demon jealous, but really weirding her husband out. None of it. A lot of it doesn't make that much sense even in character. Like even the husband, like why he would be goaded suddenly to bang. I don't even know. Like, does that work? Is that if that literally works on all guys 100% all the time? I feel like you got to be like kind of dumb to have that like work on you. Um, Good old sex worshiping where the husband don't matter. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. There's some of that. I don't know. You could break it down. I was like, the there's like yeah like I don't know. It could be better. Some of the sex stuff. But the sex like this story could be about sex if you want to make it about sex. But you got to commit to the bit. It can't be undercooked. Um, can't dip your toes just a little bit. Like if you want to be about sex, the harpies should be in it, and Harker should get like bang raped too in the castle. Um, yeah. So the comic does a few things differently that are like kind of better, which I was excited about. And I was nervous because I was like, oh, if it's like way better, or if it's things that I was really looking forward to doing in my imaginary version of what my movie would be. And yeah, it didn't do any of those things. I'll tell you guys those in a second. But yeah, the comic, um, like, and the Werner Herzog movie is still the best of all three by a little bit, in kind of just like simple ways. Like it, it kind of just advanced. Like it did like the way you would use the word feminism in a way that isn't a terrible thing like modern feminism, but like the girl that she's kind of the main character, and so in that way it's like there's this opportunity for it to be quote unquote feminist. Like she can be an empowered character or whatever. She's the one who makes the ultimate sacrifice at the end. And again, I feel like this movie like ruined it. But it's cool in the silent film. It's like cool that she does that. In the Werner Herzog film, it's even more cool, more special, and it's a little more sexual. The climax of where she holds him to her, uh, and in my comic she does that too. And then in the Herzog, I can't remember if I think I added that she is the one to figure out that he sleeps in his coffins. So she's the one who goes out at night and burns the coffins. So that's what happens in my comic. And that's something I really like about it. Like it's an extension of like she's the main character, she's the one doing stuff. Harker's been like, or Hutter has been like bit, and he's like half dead anyway, recovering. No one else cares. Everyone else is skeptic. She's the one who burns the coffins. But then in my comic, Dracula or Orlok's like missed one, and he hops down and they have a little conversation. And in this one too, Orlok talks like Darth Vader, and it's annoying. Like I was like, he should just talk kind of like a regular guy. Like that's actually speaking of the novel, that's what the novel's like, and Werner Herzog's version. So Werner Herzog's version is legit. I kind of feel like if he watched this version, he might not like it very much. Um, I wonder what he would say about it. I watched the movie Heretic yesterday. Pretty good. Great performance by Hugh Grant. I'll watch Honora tonight. Honora is so good. Yeah, I really want to see Heretic. I like old Hugh Grant. He's funny. I've seen some interviews with him. I'm like, dude, he's awesome in interviews. I'm like, why do people not like him? And it was because in the 90s, he got like, he kind of pulled an Arnold. He got like super famous, married the most beautiful woman ever, and then he like cheated on her with like a fat prostitute or something like that, you know? And like Arnold did that with the maid or whatever. But I'm like, if Hugh Grant's doing that, he's like asking for escape. You know, it's like it's kind of touching in a way. You can kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. Uh, Anyone who will bang a hot prostitute to escape from a beautiful marriage, it means they're trapped in some way that they can't say in words. You know, so we all gotta help them, give them the benefit of the doubt, especially after some years. Brian Kreisky, what's up, man? How's it going? Merry Christmas. People, the chats, there's a handful of people hanging in the chat, but it only says 4 people watching. But I mean, I'm not like I want that number to be high, but the chat seems like more than 4. But anyone here, appreciate you. Um, Zed says maybe he was just stupid. Okay, but that kind of stupid is kind of funny and like borderline likable. Although maybe if you maybe not if you're like close to it. But it is like funny. It's like kind of hilarious actually. Uh, is Anora too hardcore? A lot of sex scenes. Wonder if it's better to watch alone. It does have a lot of sex scenes, but they're all really fast. But you know what else is a little weird? Because Sean Baker is famous for doing super authentic movies, and I'm like, I kind of think he might have his actors have real sex. I'm not sure, but that's one thing I was kind of like, it's like, was that fucking real sex? So it was like distracting in a way, but yeah, because that was part of the controversy is that there was no intimacy coordinator, which is bullshit. Some of it's like woke retard stuff, whatever they're doing. And it's not, it shouldn't be controversial at all. But I wonder if the reason that they're even like digging deeper is if there is rumors that it was real sex with no intimacy coordinator, for somehow that's like worse or something. Um, but yeah, and the movie though, Honor. Well, so talk about Honor in just a second. Well, this stream won't be too long. Let's go a few more minutes. But the thing, so I think Herzog's movie, he kind of did this too. Like, not a Nosferatu movie. It can be fun. It can be beautiful. Like, it can have beautiful music. It can kind of have beautiful visuals, and it can have like the women can be very beautiful. And that's the thing with Lily Rose Depp. They played that down in a lot of ways, and they make her like like monstrous a lot. Like the woman is meant to be beautiful, I think, and so like pretty music, beautiful women, fun, and hypnotic. Hypnotic is another like important thing that in my opinion, a Nosferatu movie should be. Werner Herzog. The thing is, he kind of did that, which is great. And all you could maybe you could do it better or like more of it. And the last thing maybe is German expressionism, and he did a little bit of that too. And German expressionism, I don't know if I explained that yet this stream, but that to me that adds to the fun, and that kind of means like the characters aren't freaking terrified all the time. It's more like the Muppets. You know how people interact with Miss Piggy or Kermit actors and they're joking around and stuff, pretending like they're human, and they aren't like, oh my god, a fucking talking frog, dude, this is fucking crazy, man. It's a talking pig, dude, this is fucking crazy. That's like that would not be with the expressionism. Not it wouldn't be German in that case, but the expressionism allows you to have them perceive, the frog puppet as a real being or whatever, and then the audience kind of gets thrown that worldview, and that spell takes over, and it's part of the suspension of disbelief, and it's a lot of fun. And like Nosferatu can really be that. You can make him super monstrous, but people aren't actually that scared of him, and that combination is really nice and really fun. But in this one, they made him really monstrous, and they made people absolutely terrified of him. Which again, it kind of, in some ways, it ruins the story because it makes the story not make sense. Like Hutter it makes sense. Like if he's just going to sell a house and some weird shit's kind of happening and he's having bad dreams and he's waking up, he's got holes on his neck and stuff. And you're like, yeah, this is like kind of effed up. I don't even know if I should leave or not. That's like the actual story. And then in this story, Hutter is like, oh, oh, the whole time. and, and then he wakes up and he's like, he has like huge gashes on his chest and he's like, what the fuck? I'm like, dude, just leave, man. Why wouldn't you just leave? Um, Brian Kreisco, Count Orlok is having quite the year. Yeah, I know. It's good stuff. But yeah, so that, but another one is the hypnotic aspect and the beauty aspect. Like, you know how Silent Hill has really pretty music and it actually goes really well with the horror? Like, Nosferatu would be, again, Werner Herzog version does this. The music can be so beautiful, it goes really well with the horror. They didn't do that at all in this movie. It's just like, dun, dun, teet, teet, dun, and it's like too much, kind of. There's no beauty. There's no beauty or fun in this movie, unfortunately. Still not terrible. It is what it is, you know. But and then with the hypnotic goes really good with the beautiful music and the beautiful women. But hypnotic means, yeah, like slow motion or moving slow, and you can still be scary with that. It's kind of challenging to figure it out, and then adding some cosmic horror elements, even if it's just some astral. Wait, what was the word we were saying earlier? Some celestial type things with the sun and the moon and the stars. Some imagery of how that relates to Nosferatu's life and memories. Those are things that are in the comic that are not in this movie that I'm proud that they are in the comic. Yeah. But that was, so if I ever make a Nosferatu movie, it's like number one thing is all these things I've been mentioning here, but the one I have been thinking, and it's not been also because it's not in this new version at all, but it's the hypnotic aspect. I feel like David Lynch does some hypnotic horror. Like hypnotic horror is not like a new thing, but there aren't that many examples of it. And I was wondering if you could do a whole movie like it, because maybe it would get boring. But I think if you interspersed, like during the day, regular scenes, everything's regular, and then you're just like, yeah, this is a regular movie, regular scene. They're trying to figure shit out or whatever. You got your themes of marital, what's it called? Testing of the purity of the marriage or whatever. You could play with all that kind of stuff. But then like the action scenes or like the horror scenes would all be almost like in slow motion, hypnotic. You wouldn't even be trying to like scare people. You know what you could do is if you could make a horror movie so beautiful that people get confused and feel guilty that they weren't scared when they should have been. Something like that would be good. And then it could be, to get the German expressionism in there, Nosferatu, if I ever did a live action movie, I think he would be a giant puppet. Like he wouldn't be a human actor. Or at least a human with like lots of shit on him to make him like a moving puppet or whatever. And I was kind of daydreaming. I'm like, I wonder if you could animate a mouth with puppetry, because our mouths, when you draw animation for talking, there's only 4 mouth positions, maybe 6, but it's only along 2. You go open, you go closed, and you go ooh and ooh, ah, open, closed. That's it. So yeah, it's like 4. And with those 4, you can have your guy say any word. And I'm like, I feel like you could make a puppet do that pretty, like maybe it's robotic, but you could have it do it pretty quick and easy. I mean, it would be thousands of dollars, you know, if it was a robot or whatever. But you could make a puppet totally lip sync a bunch of cool dialogue. Geek Hazard says, make an animation short. I kind of want to. The only problem is it is a lot of work and I got shit to do. I got other shit to do. And then I don't want to accidentally like, I in my head it would kind of be live action too. But animation is kind of awesome. But animation with a giant puppet is the way to go. With beautiful music, beautiful women, and slow motion scares that aren't even scary. A lot of people say this movie's not scary in kind of a good way. But that's the thing, it kind of tries to be scary. So then it's try hard a little bit. Like there are a lot of jump scares cutting to all of a sudden Lily Rose Depp's eyes bleeding, insert shot. I'm like, I didn't know Eggers was like a hack like that. I think he's cooked. Eggers is cooked. He's done two just okay movies in a row. He's my top five favorite filmmakers. Loved his first two movies. What's going on? He's got to redeem himself. Whatever. He's when I'll always see his movies in theaters. And even if they're bad, I still enjoy them. This one I'm more close to because I just saw the silent film like again last week, so it's fresh in my mind. I have the graphic novel that I wrote and drew a few years ago. Brian Krasko. Animatronics are amazing. The new movie of John Gardner's novel Grendel is using Jim Henson's Creeper Shop. Oh, cool! That's awesome. Yeah, I'd want to see that. Maybe we need more of that kind of stuff coming back. The best. So Anora was amazing. The other best movie I've seen in the past like year or whatever is the 1939 Hunchback of Notre Dame, and that reminds me a little bit like what we're talking. It's like there's no CGI. It's in black and white, but it looks amazing. Speaking of that Nosferatu, it was too dark. That was actually a little bit of a almost like borderline deal breaker that it was so dark. That did annoy me. Because I think they might have shot the night scenes in black and white and then color graded it, tinted it blue. And I'm like, man, I wish they would have just left it black and white because then you could see shit. But once they tint it blue, you can't see fucking shit. So, yeah, I got some complaints. The Hunchback with Charles Lawton. Is that the one I'm talking about? I'm talking about the 1931, 39 one, I mean. I think that was Lon Chaney is the one I'm talking about. But I want to see them all. I'll see that other one too if that's a different one. Is that one earlier or later, Brian? Um, but yeah, so then Honora. Let me see if I can talk kind of without too many spoilers. Honora, there's a few things about it, thinking about it. So I have some high praise for it, I think. Like one thing is like it's like as awesome as a great novel would be, but then it's also something that only a movie could be. Like a novel could never do what Honora does, but Honora tackles human psychology like on a cinematic level like the way a good novel would. Like sometimes I'm trying to think if there's other movies like that. Like you'll see movies where you're like, this kind of feels like it was adapted from a novel because it's like really well thought out and really legit. And then you'll see movies where they might be great and they aren't adapted from a novel, like The Matrix or Inception or like a lot of Christopher Nolan's stuff. But the ones from a novel, they'll sometimes have like a little feel to them. And one of the things movies, there's like things that it can kind of do better than novels, and things it kind of ties with. Like the thing that movies are makes them a lot really special. It's like the psychology, and novels do that too. But just the fact that movies can just also do that, I guess, because the psychology is like the number one most special thing almost is that it's like like you say when you read a novel, you can feel like you've made a new friend and then you miss them when you finish the book. You don't want the book to end because you don't want to say goodbye to the characters. Like all that kind of stuff is this great stuff that novels can do. And then Honora, like, and then like I don't feel like a TV show would necessarily hit that, or it's like different. Like a TV show, I don't want the show to end because I missed the characters. Yeah, that's kind of true, but with Honora, there's like a yearning for the larger world where you want to wish her well and root for her after the movie, because of how the movie goes. And that's so part of what the movie is I feel like this is a subgenre, but it's the broken heart prank subgenre where someone gets their heart broken, but it's like a prankster breaks their heart. So they really, it makes it like a sub thing of that is dignity. Like it's a theme of dignity is, and you can flip it like it can be hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, revenge like a slasher. You can do like slasher movies that are like that, like like Carrie is like that, you know. But this movie is like dealing with, you end up just like, in some ways like it's like how much can we make you feel sorry for this character, well, and then kind of see them struggling with salvaging whatever dignity they possibly can from this situation. And so that all that kind of combines to make Honora super amazing. And then there's one other thing about it that's amazing too, is it does another thing I like that stories do sometimes, is it has a secret plot. And it's not like it's super secret. I don't know. Like the thing that kind of makes it secret is it's a paranoia subplot about kind of what maybe you might call him the third main character in the movie. But the thing is, you don't even know he's the third main character in the movie until the very end, or even like maybe the scene before that. And the whole last 20 minutes of Honora are awesome. And that's where I was like, is she gonna die? Like, what's happening? It's like super tense. But then the movie like is really somber because everything's kind of happened. What's up, background noise? Everything's happened that is gonna happen. Like the movie is sort of wrapped up plot wise, but they stick with her another 20 minutes as she's just dealing with the absolute bullshit of the situation. And the one guy who's with her is like the security Russian guy who she hates. And but he's nice. But there's a paranoia because he's so nice. Well, yeah, he's really nice. And you're kind of, you want to really like him, but you don't trust him because she doesn't trust him, and you're just like, I can just see this going bad, this nice guy thing or whatever, the way this movie's going. And yeah, they kind of wrap everything up in a real bittersweet way. But again, like, this isn't exactly spoilers, borderline spoilers. So if you're really interested in Honora, plug your ears for like a minute. But the the ending is, without telling you what it is, it's a huge emotional kind of like catharsis, which has been postponed the entire movie, and it comes out in a weird abstract way. But it amounts to her base at the very end. She's crying, like, and giving a guy a hug, kind of, and she hasn't cried the whole movie, and then it kind of ends. But they do. There's so much more to it because they're in a car where it's snowing and the windshield wipers are going. And that's all you can hear, and then the visuals cut out, but you can still hear the windshield wipers, and it's like, damn, this is a good movie. But I can just see like it blowing people away, people who see it in a theater, because it kind of feels just like a novel, basically. Like, but that's I got to find better ways to describe this, because saying something's like a novel is not even that good of a compliment, because novels do what novels do, movies do what movies do. And then like for example with Jaws, like Jaws was a book and it's a movie, and I don't know. I kind of feel like the movie might be better in the case of Jaws. So you're like, okay, that's a rare example where the movie's better. Therefore, movies are better at like blockbuster, fun kind of things. They can do that better than a movie can. Um, but yeah, you know, I've been into interactivity the past like long time. Is I might do an update to that book or a new essay or something, but inter interactivity, a big part of it is the psychology, and a big way that you can put it that I say is like, it's like if you film a person's face and we know what they're thinking, um, even though you haven't said anything and you haven't shown anything except for their face, that means you set up good context, and that's what interactivity is. But that also is like, it is psychological. It's all about what they're thinking. And the main reason it's so great is that it is above the words in the pictures. It is not showing or telling. Like, it's literally better than both of those things. Is the psychological connection you can create with the viewer, and it's kind of where you have them kind of doing the work of the story in their own head, where there's most of the movie is like in the viewer's head, uh, where they're holding all these things that are going on or whatever. And you know, great movies pretty much all do that, and Honora does that. And if you do it really, really good, that's when it's like, oh man, this is like, why does this feel like a novel kind of? And the Honora definitely hits that. And I'm like, I was thinking like you compare it to like great movies in the '70s, like actually I don't know, like 'cause I was like, because the '70s that's where like a lot of masterpieces are or whatever. I'm like, is it on that level? So and I was like, I just did that in my head. I'm like, yeah, kind of. It feels like, for example, it's like, is it better, worse, or the same as Midnight Cowboy? Midnight Cowboy is like an all-time masterpiece that feels like a novel, super weird levels of authentic, even though it's like I don't even know if that was a goal they set out to be like super authentic. I'm not even sure, but and it feels like that. Like it feels like kind of in that category for sure. So that I am curious how it will age. If it will age as like a masterpiece to be compared to other masterpieces, like a timeless masterpiece, or if it's just like a good movie from 2024, the best movie from 2024. I mean, already it's like easily in that conversation. I'm definitely rooting for it to win Best Picture. Uh, Zed 40% said, "What I dislike about the books versus movie argument is that the idea the source material needs to change to be successful, fixed by people that have never created anything." Yeah. Well, then that kind of supports just the fact that Honora is hitting these levels with just yeah, not as a movie, just a first all it is a movie. But part of it is this feeling of it's sort of weird. It's like kind of like the quote unquote world building, but all that is pretty much just like the character Honora. That's a huge part of it. Is they you get to go through this ordeal with her. By the end, you feel pretty connected to her, feel really sorry for her, and you just want to see. They give you one hint of hope ish, like barely, so bittersweet, right at the end, and then they cut out and they kind of leave you wanting more, kind of thing, or you know. And it is one of those things like if you actually got it, then it would be like a TV show. You know, it ruins everything. You don't want it. What you want it is to be like, and it feels like novels can be like this too. But it's like you give people that itch where they just they want to know more, but they know they can't have that or whatever. Um, Brian says the one that really impressed me recently is Your Monster, which is a rom com that turns into a horror film. Nice. Yeah. Um, you know what? There's a few. I had such high hopes for 2024, and then I feel like that it didn't live up to them. But there's still a few I haven't seen. I still want to see Midnight with the Devil. But I saw Strange Darling. I didn't really like it all that much. Although I do really like Kyle Garner. He's great in it. Um, but and it's cool. It's low budget, so I can appreciate that. It's like clever. All the storytelling's clever. But yeah, Nosferatu borderline. It didn't live up to my expectations, but my expectations were super high, so it's not its fault necessarily. Honora, Honora, like almost my expectations were so high, and Honora almost it almost beat my expectations still. Um, but I don't know. There's a movie like Honora barely reminds me of I think it's called The Color of Money. It's a Martin Scorsese movie about playing pool, starring Paul Newman and Tom Cruise. And that movie is like not necessarily. I don't know. Like I wonder if that how you'd rate that one, or if that one's considered a masterpiece or anything. But I remember really, really, really liking that movie. But I also remember that the ending is not amazing. Honora has this amazing, perfect ending, and I heard that's something Sean Baker like. He planned it from the beginning to be like that. Um, and a lot of his movies have endings that like smack like that. But I think I remember Color Money having a limp ending, which is unfortunate because other than that, it's awesome. But it sometimes it has a feeling if it's like New York in winter, people like running into bars in the snow from cars, from cars to bars in the snow in New York. That's like a feeling. That's an aesthetic. And Anora hits that. Color of Money hits it. It's a great feeling. I love those kind of movies. Yeah. I don't know. Kind of wrapping up. I got to say most of what I wanted to say about those movies. Thanks everyone for indulging me and hanging out. But one little takeaway is, yeah, there's like 3-4 days left on the Nosferatu campaign, the second offering, and I feel pretty chuffed. I think chuffed is the British word, or is it a European? I don't know. Does it mean stoked? I think. I feel pretty chuffed about my adaptation. I'm glad it's holding up, at least in my eyes, compared to the new one. Not that the new one is terrible, it's just different. But it didn't do anything that I like wish mine would have done, or so, like, oh, why didn't I think of that? It didn't, there wasn't anything like that. Um, but yeah, it's weird. Like Nosferatu is still relatively untapped. I think the Dracula, which including Nosferatu, the Dracula novel, I heard that's the most adapt story of all time. And it kind of feels like it still has blood to give. No pun intended. Pun intended. Pun intended. Um, like there could be another Dracula movie next year, and I would still be interested. And there could be another Nosferatu movie, I'd still be interested. Sometimes Hollywood releases those movies in pairs, you know. But yeah, maybe an animated one just to try and do a proof of concept with the pretty music. I could hit a few of those check boxes. Like, what is the check? So the check boxes is pretty music, beautiful women, German expressionism, uh, ancient horror. What do we call that again? Cosmic horror. Maybe is there anything else? Maybe the marital thematics. Uh, because it's funny. That even though that is not like the number one thing I would want to focus on. Again, but you don't want to undercook it if you do put it in. But just the fact that it's taking something from that that the Scorsese movie, and I don't even know. Maybe the Scorsese movie does do this. Sorry, not Scorsese. Francis Ford Coppola. But if it's the fact that husband and wife separated, husband cheats on wife with harpies, wife cheats on husband with vampire. How do they reconcile this? Where do they go from there? Uh, that is funny. That would be a good take on it. But maybe that is the Francis Ford. I seriously need to watch the Francis Ford Coppola movie now. I might watch it tonight, guys. I might turn this off and go watch it. I'm kind of still pumped on vampires. Um, but one other thing, a take that I haven't seen done yet in a while is like, so vampires, people are definitely into vampires being like bloody, like ripping open necks, ripping, like killing, murdering, big teeth, like monstrous, whatever. And then there is like, what even Interview with the Vampire, like they're handsome dudes that bite your neck. But so maybe this has been done, but like less blood. If they suck all the blood and none of it drips, it's like you could do a vampire movie where there's like no blood. Because they're drinking it all. They don't waste. They wouldn't let it drip. That's literally a line from Nosferatu. He says, "Oh shoot, I put it in my book. I forget what I adapted to what the real line is, but it's something like, don't waste, don't spare a drop, or something like that." If you want to see the strangest vampires movies ever, check out the films of Jean Rollin. That sounds interesting. I'll type that in. I'll Google it. Vampire Circus is free on streaming. Cool. Yeah, on a little vampire kick for sure. Um, Nice. Zed, strange as using his life force. I saw that, but it was in the background while I was fulfilling. So I'd look up at the screen and I'd be like, what's happening now? What is this? Space vampire? Sucking life force? The titular line? Uh, but it was good. But I kind of forget. I remember the chick being. They checked that box, the chick being hot. Um, some person not spilling a drop, kind of like licking the spoon after mixing the batter. Yeah, for real. Yeah, what if what if you did a vampire manners? So I think this might be like a manga subgenre. They call it like a manners, or there's also a comedy. They call it a manners comedy, which I don't even fully get what that is. I think it might be like a farm boy comes to live with the rich folk. That's like a manners comedy, I think. But you could do like a manners comedy with vampires where not that vampires should be funny, but if you wanted to, it could be like a short story where like he's eating people too messily. Well, they they do that joke, and it's like the funniest joke in What We Do in the Shadows. It's when he like has to kill someone for his friend or for the camera, and it kind of goes wrong because he hits like a vein and it ends up spurting blood everywhere, and he's like kind of embarrassed by it. And I think he had laid out newspaper beforehand because he knew the guy was gonna bleed, but then the guy it gets everywhere, even not on his newspaper. That reminds me though, I do have a good idea. It might be a short story, blood related slightly, but it might be a scene in the Percival comic or else a short story. But it's a disgruntled writer who wants to meet with the king or something. This is like what it is now. Some of this could change, but he wants to meet with the king. The king won't see him. Uh, and so what he keeps trying to see the king, they keep denying it. And so finally he ends up kind of like getting himself into trouble because he kind of overreacts and he barges in or whatever. So then they're going to kind of arrest him and he's like cornered. But then he ends up taking himself hostage because he's standing over their most expensive rug in the whole castle. So he's got a knife to his own throat and he's like, I'll fucking ruin your favorite rug if you take one step closer to me. And he's like, I want to talk to the king right now. I want to see if he liked my short story or not. Something, whatever. I got to figure out some of that still. Um, yes. Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter. That's a movie. I'd check that out. There's the one. It's like the Fearless Vampire Killers. I haven't seen that. Kronos, Captain Kronos. Brian, I'm pretty sure you love that one. A lot of people were saying because I think that one might have got a Blu-ray release recently or whatever. So it's back in the public conversation slightly, and a lot of people are saying it's their favorite Hammer movie. And I haven't seen I've seen like 10 Hammer movies out of like 50 or 100, however many they did. So I haven't seen that many, but I've seen Captain Kronos, and that is my favorite. I love it. That movie's awesome. Yeah, it just got 4K. Well, deservedly so. But yeah, 8 people watching. Thanks everyone for being here. We were talking about Anora and Nosferatu, but said pretty much everything I wanted to say. So I might get out of here. I think I am gonna go because I'm trying to relax for Christmas. Then I have to get back to working tomorrow. I think maybe I could take one more day off. That'd be crazy. That'd be so crazy. I think I gotta work, but I think I'm gonna watch Dracula, Francis Ford Cope. But yeah. All right. Good night, everyone. See you guys later. Thanks for being here. Catch everyone on the flip side.